Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today, I want to share some thoughts about the Abattoir of Zir that came out very recently in the Diablo 4. So, if you don't know, the Abattoir of Zir is a timed dungeon that has a randomly generated layout and different enemy types which fill the dungeon. It has 25 tiers of difficulty, and in order to access it, you need to craft a special sigil that costs 800 powder for the first tier, and even more for the next tiers. And in order to unlock the higher tiers, you need to first finish the previous tiers and unlock the recipe for the new sigil. Now, the purpose of the dungeon is to pretty much be a end game content that you can grind away at for a very long time. It still offers you some rewards, so you can, increase your character power even at the level of 100. Now, personally, I welcome this sort of end game content in the game, as there really isn't that much to do once you reach level 100. However, right now, the Abattoir of Zir is not exactly the type of activity one could do for a long time. It seems to have the necessary carrot for you to chase, but the chase itself has some problems. In my opinion, one of the biggest issues is the barrier of entry. In order to do a single run of this new dungeon, as I said, you need 100 sigil powder to craft the new special sigil, right? Which isn't too bad, but it becomes problematic once you start getting to the point in the tiers where it becomes challenging for your character, right? Um, since you have only one life in the dungeon, and if you fail, then the run is over. You get no rewards, you get no powder, and you have to start over. So at that point, unless you've banked quite a bit of powder beforehand, you run into the issue where you need to decide: do you want to try a couple more attempts at the challenging tier, or you just go back and farm the easier tiers, right? And I don't think that's a good decision to make when it comes to the end game. Um, then we also have the new glyph, or which came with the new dungeon, right? And the dungeon itself is the only place where you can realistically level up this glyph. But it seems that the experience that you receive, the glyph experience, in the Abattoir of Zir, doesn't scale quite well with the tiers, right? Which leads to a not so good situation where it's better for you to farm easier tiers that you can, easily clear and handle without a problem, than trying to push the tiers further, right? Because the returns of the experience are not that great, and especially if you couple that with the risk of failing the run altogether, and also the rewards not scaling with the difficulty itself. So, like, what really is the point of doing higher level Abattoir of Zero tiers if the only thing you really get are the bragging rights that you actually did it, right? Another thing that I found quite annoying was the layers of RNG. Now, I know it's not a new thing for the Diablo to be a RNG fest, but when it comes to such a difficult endgame content, it becomes a little bit too much, in my opinion. Um, you get since the layout is generated randomly and so are enemies, you might yourself you might find yourself in a situation where you're running narrow corridors filled with red ghosts and skeletal ballistas, and elites with walls and freezing whatever, or suppressor even, just to kill your ranged build altogether. And so the variations between your runs are all over the place. Sometimes you get a very easy dungeon, easy enemies, good layout, no annoying affixes, and the other another time, same tier, you will get just a complete nightmare of a mix. So yeah, it's very unpredictable. Lastly, the rewards are, you know, not that great. Let's put it like this. You're guaranteed a couple of 900 item level plus items, and that's about it, right? So yeah, obviously you also get the glyph experience if if that's your thing. But other than that, for such a difficult dungeon, it seems like the rewards are not that great. I mean, if you can clear the Abattoir of Zir, you probably don't need those items. And if you're fishing for better rolls, you're probably better off just doing nightmare dungeons, which are slightly lower than 100, just to get the item levels that you're looking for. And yeah, that's it. No cosmetics, no titles, which is quite surprising in my opinion. Um, the this new dungeon also brought a spotlight to one problem that the game sort of has had right from the get-go, which is changing specs. So as you might have noticed if you looked up the build guides, um, the Abattoir of Zir re doesn't require you necessarily, but you kind of want to adjust your build, your skills, your Paragon board, your items to that specific content because it's so difficult, right? And that's a problem in it already, right? So you were doing your Lilith, your Nightmare Dungeons, whatever. Now you need to switch up your Paragon board and skills. You do a couple of Abattoir of Zir runs, and then you decide, all right, I'm done. I want to do some Nightmare Dungeons, and now you need to switch everything back to your previous build because it's more efficient, right? So without a way of quickly respecing and changing gear, this type of content kind of doesn't shine, right? It's becoming just annoying at that point. Um, Lastly, the dungeon itself becomes quite boring after a while because there's nothing in it besides running forward, clearing enemies, clearing bosses, grabbing your glyph XP, and then starting over. No, no events, no additional I don't know objectives, nothing. So after running 10, 20, 100 of those, yeah, it's just boring, right? I mean, you still need to stay engaged because you might get one shot at any moment, but other than that, there's nothing. It's simply not that engaging of a gameplay. That being said, I do like that the Blizzard put out a new content for the end game, and I hope that in the next season they will learn from the from the mistakes, and the next time they come up with some something like this, a big dungeon for us to explore in the end game, they will lower the barrier of entry. Maybe they'll streamline it so it's not as dependent on the RNG. Obviously better rewards, cosmetics and titles, and I hope it will be a little bit more engaging. With that being said, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.